And hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
And hell hath cometh again. As we're riding on in once again, this is the home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. Let me adjust this camera real quick so y'all can see my guardian angel here. His name is Paul Bear Bryant. There you go. I'm going to get me a statue of all the great coaches one day. Might even get me a Barry Switzer, and who else? Bo Schembechler, and Woody Hayes, and Bud Wilkinson, Newt Rodney. We have alternate statues over here. What do y'all think about that? Well, I just wanted to jump in here today and wish y'all late Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year that's coming upon us. 2025 is almost here. It goes by like a blink of an eye, as I like to always say. Today we're going to discuss college football's NIL hell that we're all participating in. Seems like all of our teams are feeling the bang, as the great DDP once said once upon a time. 1989 M's in the house. He'll appreciate the hell out of that reference. ESPN Civil War, as Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler have been called out by the mighty big mouths of Stephen A. Smith. I'm sure the A stands for asshole. And Shannon Sharp, Sterling Sharp, Shay, Gay. Don't know how to turn off the Instagram today so I can have sex in the bedroom, eh? Yeah, Shannon, you shouldn't be questioning anybody or calling anybody out, man. You can't even turn your Instagram off before you have sex, man. Come on, man. We talking those shit to Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler, man. They've been around for quite a long time. I'm going to talk about that. I got a little video from Dan Orkovich. Is that how you say his last name? He's basically calling out O'Shea and just the mouth that they call Stephen A. Smith. I like to call him Mush Mouth from Fat Albert because everything he says just mush to me. He ain't never said a damn thing that means a damn hill of beans. And everything he said about himself and his resume is a damn lie, too, by the way. We're also going to talk about the maybe college football playoff picture. We're down to 8 teams. We're to the Elite 8. Hopefully we'll have some better games this time around. And, you know, actually the 8 teams that's in there now somewhat deserve to be there. There are some debate that maybe Boise State and Arizona State shouldn't be where they're at. I do agree, though, that Arizona State and Boise State should probably have a seat at the table, although I don't think they deserve to get a first-round bye. Let's see who's up in here already. We got 1989M in the house. He says, Outlaw Posse about to ride into town. Yep, giddy up, cowboy. We're already here. Glad to have you in the house, 1989M. Tim Gillespie's also in the house. The guy that got me probably the best Bible a man could ever receive. I have to show that to y'all sometime. I don't have it handy with me, but it's a nice gold trim leather Bible. And I actually read a few verses tonight, Tim. You'll be happy with me. I was reading in Genesis tonight about, I think it was Abraham, that God asked to sacrifice his only begotten son. Sounds familiar, don't it? On down the road, you know, God done the same thing, except he actually did sacrifice his only begotten son. It'd be nice if some of these players that come and play for these universities had just a modicum of the sacrifice in their bones that some of those guys in the Bible did. Right, Tim? Oh, yeah. Comanche Sooners in the house. What's up, Outlaw Posse, Boomer, and Roll Tide? Speaking of Boomer, I saw an article today that Oklahoma has 26 or 27 players in the transfer portal. Oklahoma is in NIL hell. Big time. And they may only have 56 players to actually participate for Oklahoma against Navy. And that's what sucks about this whole NIL thing that we're going to talk about tonight, is the fact that These players are not held accountable. They don't have contracts. They don't have anything to hold them accountable for all the money they're getting. It'd be different if they was just a stalker at Walmart or something and they're getting a weekly check. That's understandable. But when you get this kind of money, there should be some kind of giving back. And a lot of players are already having to do this. They're having to sign contracts and promising that they will stay through the postseason. I think that's what Jalen Turnover did at Alabama. Oh, my bad. Milroe. Done for Alabama, and the fact that he's playing this bowl game, everybody's patting him on the back. But in reality, I think his NIL contract dictates that he plays in the postseason game. And that's what they need to start doing with these players, man. There's no rhyme or reason in how it's being done. Hell, these players can leave in the middle of the year. Before long, you'll have players, they'll allow players to leave a team and go play on another playoff team just because they get pissed off at the coach. Wouldn't that be a big old kick in the nuts? If Ohio State's starting quarterback decides, you know what, Georgia's down a quarterback, and I really don't like it up here anymore. I'm going to go play for Georgia in the next game, and I'm going to cost Ohio State a national championship. They probably won't never do that. That's just me being exaggerating, but it's just way out of hand. They've got to put some kind of rules in place, man. The tampering, the constant turnover. It just makes no sense not to have some kind of rules in place. It almost makes me want to become an NFL fan again, because at least with the NFL, they got some kind of rules in place. You got to sign a contract. You can't just up and leave anytime you want. And they'll try to defend the players by saying that sometimes. Well, the coaches can leave anytime they want. No, they can't. The coaches have a contract they've signed and they have a buyout. There's got to be some kind of rules put in place for this, man. Because you're going to have a game like tomorrow with Oklahoma, who's playing 11 a.m. I thought we got away from 11 a.m. games, but Alabama and Oklahoma both playing in 11 a.m. bowl games, which sucks. But Oklahoma is going to be only have 56 players to play against the Navy. And they're probably going to end up losing to a team they normally wouldn't lose to, and it's going to be in a misleading way. Sort of like last year when Missouri beat Ohio State 14-3, and Georgia run the score up on Florida State and the fake Indians in Tallahassee. But I'm going to bring a guy in here real quick. Guy's been on the show a few times, and he's pretty good with stuff like this and numbers and conference expansion and the finer details of things, much more so than myself. Welcome the Cuz Master to the house.
What's up, brother?
Do when Cuz runs wild on you? He's done wild on me a couple times this week. He's been putting me in my place.
Woo! Hey, I probably don't have the time for it, but later I got to show you a couple Christmas gifts I got, brother.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you like them.
Did you get you some Roman Reigns attire to acknowledge?
No, not quite attire. No, I wouldn't go that far. No. I collect Funko Pops. You know what Funko Pops are, don't you?
What's that?
You know what Funko Pops are?
I don't. Oh, okay. That's
those little. Yeah. Well, I collect them.
I just know what it's called.
And I got a bunch of them for Christmas, brother. I got Ultimate Warrior. I got
snap.
Rocky Maivia. I got Hulk Hogan and Mr. T from WrestleMania 1.
My daughter got me a new SEC hat. It's got Texas and Oklahoma on there now. You know, had that SEC hat with all the logos on it up here. Right there.
Let me see it.
It's got all the logos, but this is not my new one. She bought me one with see, it's got all the logos.
Well, you may as well. Yeah, I mean, you got to add them to it. I mean, look, us Big 12, we've accepted Colorado and Arizona and Utah, and all the other newbies in. So you may as well accept the newbies in, right? It's part of it.
That's right.
If they got that patch on.
Tonight's just a grab bag. Is there any way I can link this up for you to where you can get some traffic from this? Or no?
No, not right now. That's something we would have done. We'd had to do it ahead of time. No big deal. I wouldn't do anything tonight anyway, brother. So
okay, well,
might as well come in here and shoot the breeze with you.
Yeah, I'm just grab bagging tonight. I thought NIL hell was a nice little play on words.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's what some of us all are experiencing this crap.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't just one team that's having to deal with it, although some teams are dealing with it than more teams than other teams like Oklahoma. But I'll just go ahead and let you give your spiel on what you want to hit me up with.
Yeah, I didn't catch all your comments as I got on. I heard what you said there at the end of it, but yeah, I mean, I do think there will be. I think you will eventually see some rules in college football similar to what we see in the NFL. It's not here yet, but I think it's going to have to, because you talked about the Oklahoma situation. Look what happened to Marshall. I know you mentioned that on your show the other night. Marshall's lost so many guys to the portal that they couldn't even play their game. And my first reaction was, why couldn't they play the backups? Right? Let your walk-ons play, right? But come to find, after I read up more on it, it wasn't just a numbers thing. They had so many guys missing from certain positions, they couldn't even field an entire. Like, they had so many offensive linemen to go to the portal, they didn't have enough offensive linemen to play. You know what I'm saying?
You're put in a bad position. You want to participate in the bowl for your conference, but then you don't want to take your team down there and get them embarrassed like Florida State did.
That, or get them hurt. I mean, if you only got, say you go to a bowl game and you only got 5 offensive linemen that can play, you get one of those guys hurt, and you can't put somebody in football's not a game where you can just, it ain't like basketball where you can put a guy at a position and make it work. You can't put a running back at offensive line, or, you know what I mean? You'll get somebody hurt really bad. So according to what I read, it was a health and safety issue. They just didn't feel comfortable doing it because they were so short on players that, it was a health risk, safety risk. But now I'm taking Marshall's word for it, because I don't think they would miss a bowl game and miss out on that payday if they didn't have to,
Yeah, plus it's extra practice time too, right?
Exactly. So it's but yeah, and then you got Bo Prabula, the backup quarterback from Penn State, who's missing the playoffs. I mean, because he wanted to go in the portal. I mean, it's just and today, I know it's basketball, but Miami's basketball coach just resigned today because
I actually emailed that to myself.
Oh, did you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's resigned today because of all the NIL crap and everything. So it's I have no issues with players getting paid, to be honest with you. But there has to be some sort of parameters around everything, and there has to be rules in place to where it's not just a free for all. Yeah, you don't have guys leaving every year.
It's giving them an unrealistic view of how things are going to happen when they get to the NFL. They're not going to be able to do it. They ain't going to be able to do that shit when they get to the NFL, man. They're just not.
And it's also, there are certain, and I'm not going to put all the players in this category because I don't think it applies to most, but it's teaching some of them that, hey, things aren't going well, you can just jump in the portal and leave. And that's not real life. When adversity hits, you need to be able to work through adversity and play through adversity. And they're being taught that, hey, I can just leave and get out of this situation, and that's not really a real life scenario.
Even in real life jobs, like mine and your jobs in real life, if you just up and quit a job, you may put yourself in a bad situation. Mm-hmm. You might end up going somewhere you think the grass is greener, and it's really not, kind of deal. And that's just life in general, right?
Yes, sir.
But the Florida State getting blowed out in that bowl game, I'm not saying that it contributed to the 2-10 season, but it could have. I mean, getting beat down like that, what was it, 63-3? Had
something like that.
Pretty bad lingering effect through the whole offseason probably for them. And then this year they end up 2-10. So I never seen a team go from being 13-1 to 2-10.
True. My buddy JD's here.
JD Wilmoth.
Mm-hmm.
Big mouth. What is his name?
Yeah.
Mush mouth. He ain't mush mouth like Stephen A. Smith. Did you see that? By the way, I got that on a little clip up here I was going to bring up. The Civil War at ESPN between Kirk Herbstreit, Chris Fowler versus Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
They got pretty pissed off at Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler because they sort of called him out. Well, they didn't really call him out. All Kirk Herbstreit said was, I wonder if First Take's still going to want Ryan Day fired since he beat Tennessee. And they took exception to it and just started going off the rails. And Shannon Sharpe's talking about throwing fist, or not really throwing fist, but you don't want to see what's going to happen next time you do it. I'm telling you right now, Kirk, don't do it again. I'm like, don't get what? Have an opinion? You can't have an opinion now?
Yeah, it's look, I agreed. I didn't agree with Kirk's take, as you know. Right. But I also don't agree necessarily with how Shannon Sharpe handled the situation either. That was a little bit trying to think of the right word here. Antagonistic, I guess. You know what I mean? that would probably fit here. There was no need to make threats, and I don't think he was threatening to fight him. I think he was threatening on what he would come out and say about him or to him or whatever.
Well,
but still, I just don't think that was appropriate to do.
But what's he going to say that's so bad that's going to light him up? Is he going to maybe throw a race card in there or something?
Because
that's
I don't know.
That's the vibe I'm getting here, and that's not what I'm saying. That's what Dan Orkovich. I can't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right, but
Orlovsky.
Yeah, he's on Outkick.
Oh, my bad. No, not Orlovsky. Yeah, I don't. Dockich.
Yeah, he
I call him Dan Jockich, by the way.
He tore him a new ass, man.
He's not well liked in West Virginia circles.
No, he was accusing Shannon Sharp and him of race baiting kind of deal.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Not making about white versus black.
I hope that's not their agenda.
Stephen Smith has a huge issue with what Pat McAfee's making right now. He's not real happy about Pat McAfee.
What's going on? I haven't really followed that closely. Those two had some words, didn't they? Or no, was it no, it wasn't Stephen A. It was who was that guy at ESPN that got into it with McAfee?
He had Aaron Rodgers on, and Aaron Rodgers took a shot at Ryan Clark, and Ryan Clark.
That's it.
He threatened to fight. And what is it about wanting to fight folks all of a sudden, man, just because they have a different opinion? And you can't just go around fighting everybody that disagrees with you.
They see that Tyson and what's his name made all this money now, so everybody wants to. It's probably make money, if I had to guess. It's an opportunity for them to make money.
Ryan Clark threatened Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers basically had some criticism for Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark didn't like it, so he's threatening him. I'm like,
jeez.
Dude, I can understand Shannon Sharp maybe threatening someone physically because he's a pretty imposing guy. But, I mean, Ryan Clark, he's probably in pretty good shape, but Aaron Rodgers not in bad shape either. So he might want to be, a little temperamental about that. Maybe want to calm down a little bit because it'd be pretty bad if they decide to take each other up on that. And Aaron Rodgers whooped his ass too. On top of having a bad opinion of Ryan Clark, he whoops Ryan Clark's ass. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah. Do you know this Justin Kemp guy in this chat?
No, I'm fixing the booty though.
Okay, I think he's trying to troll you or something, whatever that's called. Spam you.
He's gone now. Appreciate you telling me that.
Yeah, anytime somebody comes in and does that, that's usually.
Oh, I've had them come on here and it's only happened once where they just sent 72 of them mugs in here.
Yeah, I've had it happen a few times.
They done it to the point where there was no way I was going to have a comment section, and I just had to go with it and just talk. But
yeah,
there's the night I was on here grilling Lincoln Riley. I think it's some UFC.
Do you have moderators on here?
I don't.
You should probably assign a few moderators that can kick those people out for you during shows.
Right.
People like, maybe Cooler Breeze or, if JD's in here a lot, people like that would be willing to do it for you. Cause I've had to add a few to mine now. My live streams didn't used to be big enough to worry about it, but now they've gotten big enough to where I just can't keep up with everything.
Yeah. Once I start getting past 50 or 60, that's when it becomes a problem sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would, if you're going to keep doing this, I would go ahead and just some words of advice.
Yeah.
I'm
probably going to have to admit, I'm going to have to. JD Wilmot says NIL is supposed to be for name, image, and likeness. And I have yet to see an Oklahoma football player doing a commercial for their sponsors. Isn't that what the money's supposed to be for?
Yeah, you'd think. It can be for many things, but advertisements is one of them for sure. It can be for appearances. For example, one of the things West Virginia players do a lot is they go to the local children's hospital and see kids and visit with kids. They can do that and post it on social media. You know what I mean? They can do charity work. They can do, appearances on shows, for example, and the sponsor can pay for their appearance on the show, things like that. There's a lot of things they can do, but yeah, ads is definitely one of them. And I saw where he mentioned about the softball players. He sees them on commercials a lot. You mean to tell me they're having softball players on commercials, but not football players? That doesn't make good sense.
Well, their softball team's won 4 national titles in a row.
No, I know they're great. But you'd still think football players would be still a lot more popular.
Yeah. I saw a picture of Elon Musk at his desk, and he had an Oklahoma softball pitcher on his desk. I'm like,
oh, really?
Holy shit. If they can get Elon Musk to start giving them NIL money, they may be straight. You don't need to talk to Elon.
Yeah, they won't have to worry about us taking their defensive coordinator if that's the case.
You might be the only guy that can trump Phil Knight.
Yeah, you got that right.
How many?
Elon can trump anybody.
How many of y'all lost in the portal?
15, I think, so far.
Did it affect your bowl game in any way? I mean,
no, because no, not really. I mean, we lost two starters before the bowl game, but most of them waited until after the bowl game to leave. Thankfully, we still got beat, so it didn't matter. But they were at least able to field a competitive team. Me
and a buddy of mine were talking about today. Why don't they just get a few people that that they can trust to form a new version of the NCAA, like the CFA or something, like College Football Association. Like get somebody maybe that's got a little experience in the government, like Tommy Tuberville.
Yeah,
he used to be the Auburn coach. Get him. Get Nick Saban and Tommy Tuberville. Both of them coached Auburn and Alabama, so you got to worry about there being some kind of bias of some sort. But couldn't they put a committee of those kind of guys together and do something and have a czar or that kind of deal they keep talking about?
Yeah, the problem is nobody wants to surrender any. The SEC and Big Ten, rightfully so, don't want to surrender what they have. There's actually a couple groups out there that are wanting to form these super leagues, and as part of those super leagues, they would have something like that in place. But the Big Ten and SEC don't want to form a super league with the Big Ten and ACC, Big 12 and ACC, because then they feel like they're giving up, a better position by doing that. Matter of fact, I mean, Greg Sankey plainly stated if they want to come to us, we're not going to go down to where they are, which, and I know you and I have debated and argued a lot lately about the SEC. One of the reasons people hate the SEC so much is because of Greg Sankey. He is very arrogant. He's very, he just comes out and basically says, yeah, we're better than everybody else and screw everybody else. And I just don't, in college sports, I don't know that that's the right attitude to have. I mean, for example, Bob Bowlesby, who was the commissioner of the Big 12, he was on the College Football Playoff Committee with Sankey when the alliance stabbed them all in the back, right?
Exactly.
Well, then Sankey got pissed off and just said, "Screw it, we'll go do forget this." But then he turns around and screws the Big 12 too, and the Big 12 wasn't even the one who formed the alliance.
They all screwing each other.
So I don't understand why the Big 12's. I feel like they're the ones taking the strays in the whole situation.
That's what I was telling you in our conversation off air. I'm like, if anything, the SEC and the Big 12 should realize that they're a lot alike. They've got a lot of the same cultural things going on. The SEC sort of gets hated on because, like you said, they were deemed as probably this most successful conference. And then, the Big 12 only gets one team in, so that they feel a little disrespected, while the ACC got two. The SEC got three, and the Big 10 got four. So, the Big 12 is considered one of the Power Four. So why didn't the Big 12 at least get two in like the sorry-ass ACC did? I know why, because they had Clemson coming in to steal a bid, but still, both conferences get disrespect on different levels. And
they do.
Like you said, and I sort of realized it when you was talking about it, and I sort of thought about it off air. When the whole COVID thing was going on, the one conference that went to bat with the SEC was the Big 12.
Yeah.
So, screw it.
But we're the ones. And I know taking Texas and Oklahoma wasn't intended to be. They took them because Texas and Oklahoma wanted to come, and it was an opportunity to improve the value of the league. I get that. But I feel like the Big 12 was the one who's gotten screwed the most in this whole, which it ended up being the Pac-12 at the end of the day. But I feel like the Big 12 was the one that got screwed more than anybody in this whole situation. And they were the ones the whole time that were arm in arm with the SEC. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's just circumstances, man. It's just like business.
Well,
sometimes the small businesses getting eaten up by the big businesses because they don't make as much money.
Right.
And this is a similar situation. And you know, to be frank, we probably have a little bit of little man syndrome, as I like to call it. You know, these little. Sometimes you ever seen people that are smaller than everybody else, but yet they're always the ones trying to start a fight.
Yeah.
Did you grow up with people like that?
Yeah, I was sort of like that. I was short.
Or they're just pricks to people all the time because they're little. I call it little persons or little man's, whatever you call it.
That's right.
But and maybe we have a little bit of that, but there's a lot of data points. You know, I'm not going to get into them now, but there are sometimes data points that you can look at to say, look, you know, the Big 12, you know, it's kind of getting screwed here. But I also understand, you know, we don't have any big brands anymore, marquee brands, and I get that. That's nothing we hide from. But I do think there are other things that we have that are positive that nobody wants to ever talk about. So to Big Stat Kelly's point, if Sankey was our commissioner, we'd like it. I guarantee you we would. I don't argue. I don't debate that at all.
The Big Ten, if you know, they had a guy from Michigan was over the committee, and them in the ACC, they sort of love on each other behind the scenes, I think, because they had their little alliance. Big Ten and the ACC. Yeah, they got a little something going on there. Plus all that elitist AAE bullshit that they try to throw out there. Them in the ACC, but if they're going to be like that, the SEC should say, well, you know what? Screw it. We'll just form our own Super League with the Big 12 and just merge the two conferences. But, you know, that's just a pipe dream, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's I just don't like, you know, as a person who's not a fan of a school in the SEC or Big Ten, I'm worried about where college football's heading just because, you know, my team could potentially get left out of the fray and over something that they really have no control over, you know?
Right.
And it sucks.
Just, you know, this is in a perfect world, this would be great, but it's just not going to happen. Just in the top 12 period. That's the real problem here. The whole conference automatic bid thing, all that shit, man, I think it's getting in the way of doing what's right.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Outlaw. You got so many. If you don't honor conference title games, then people are just going to quit playing them. And then that costs the networks money. So that's a problem. People want to watch a conference title game. It brings eyeballs to the television screen, right?
They're going to do away with those.
Conferences aren't – the TV networks probably aren't going to want them to do that. Just guessing.
We'll see what happens.
I could be wrong.
I felt like Nostradamus because I done a video before the Georgia-Texas game saying basically Georgia and Texas are probably both in the playoff already. So why are they risking injury to play in this SEC title game? What if Carson Beck gets injured? And I'd be damned if Carson Beck didn't get injured, man.
You are Nostra Outlaw. I was trying to think of something funny, but I couldn't. Bad attempt at a joke, but no, and you're right. But at the same time, a conference championship should still mean something, man. Shouldn't it?
I mean, couldn't you just declare the regular season champion, the conference champion by tie break or something if it was a tie in the regular season? I
mean, I guess you could, but when you got these 16 and 14 and 16 team leagues and you got 14 of the teams tied for first place, it's kind of
just add like an extra playoff game, go to 16 teams. And I think it might solve some of it. I know people get tired of expanding, but hell, you're already at 12. You might as well go to 16.
I think Brett Yormark actually made a mistake when they were doing the negotiating for the format of the playoff, and they wanted to do like a 4-4-2-2-1, whatever. They wanted 4 Big Ten teams, 4 SEC teams, 2 ACC, 2 Big 12, and 1 group of 5, right? And then they wanted to have like 3 at-larges. It was either a 14 or 16 team playoff or whatever. I don't remember. I'm not doing the math in my head. It's too late. But anyway, and Brett Yormark said no to that because he didn't think it was right for the Big Ten and SEC to get 4 teams in. I think that was a huge mistake. Big 12 should have taken 2 teams automatic bid, man. And so should the ACC, don't you think?
Yeah, but it's going to give the Big 12 2 automatics. That would have been a no-brainer to me.
He was banking on them earning it. And
yeah,
but then he goes, and don't get me wrong, I like Brett Yormark, and I think majority of the things he has done has been the right decisions. But on that one, I didn't agree with it because he goes out and talks about how much parity we have in the Big 12 and how all the teams are somewhat equal and all that, and that's the truth. But you know what else that causes? It causes everybody to beat up on everybody, and then at the end of the year, you have 2 or 3 teams with 2 or 3 losses at the top of your conference.
That's what happened in the SEC.
Yeah, and you only get one team in.
we
don't get the same strength of schedule you guys do because we're not the SEC.
Yeah, we would have got 4 in had we not been beating up on each other.
And right, and they need to understand. And I think Brett Yormark made a huge mistake. I'm hoping he revisits that in the offseason, because I'm thinking if you're going to offer me 2 at-larges in today's climate with the Big Ten and SEC having the power they have right now, and you don't take that deal, I think you're stupid. Just my opinion. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of Brett Yormark, but I thought that was a bad decision.
They're going to definitely go to 14 because they've already been talking about 14. Why that's 14 and not 16, I don't know. It just seems like 16 is a better even number than 14.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think they're wanting to keep those first. I think they're wanting to keep the first round buys in place.
If they go to 14 and 16, they're definitely going to give more automatic bids to certain conferences like the Big Ten and the SEC, maybe even the Big 12 get 2 at that point.
Yeah, I just now if you do that, then there really is no point in playing a conference title game, because then both of your top 2 teams go to the playoff.
Well, yeah,
but now, there are some fans of Big 12 teams that want, like guys over at Big 12 Mafia, or some of the guys over at Big 12 Mafia, or College Football Mafia, I should say. They're wanting one of their hosts he thinks the Big 12 should do its own playoff at the end of the year and take their top 4 teams and put them in a playoff to determine who plays in the conference title game. But I'm like, man, if you do that, you're actually hurting your chances of getting teams in the playoff, because they're going to all beat up on each other again, even more so than they did in the regular season. So I don't know what the answer is. I just hope that whatever they decide at the end of the day includes my team. It
just seems a little too crazy, man. It seems like you'd be playing way too many games or something.
Well, he wants to make the last 2 weeks of the season, or the last week of the regular season be the semifinals, and then the conference championship weekend be the 2 winners play. And then what you do, you take all the teams who weren't in those games, you just basically reshuffle them and give them all an opponent and let them go play. It's like flex scheduling. Like they don't know who they're going to play until a week or 2 in advance.
Big Stack Kelly has a question. Do you think hiring Rich Rod has something to do with keeping WVU on top?
I think it's probably a part of it for sure, because, in this day and time with West Virginia, with the changes that are happening, it's critical that West Virginia gets back into being nationally relevant again. Neil Brown was just not getting that done. And with Rich Rodriguez, not only do you get a coach who knows the culture of West Virginia, who's coached at West Virginia, who, has been a successful coach at multiple places, you also get a bigger investment from the donors. The donors have stepped up, or at least committed to stepping up and giving more financial support to the university if they hire Rich Rodriguez. So I think that's part of it. Yes.
I think, Rich Rod was winning percentage wise one of the winningest coaches in West Virginia history, right? So, I mean, I think it was a no-brainer to me to hire him and bring him back. Even if it don't work out, you got to do it, because if you don't do it, then you're always going to wonder what would happen if you had done it. So, yeah.
When you looked at the pool of candidates, I thought it was a pretty good decision, my opinion.
Well, yeah.
I didn't think there was any other candidate that
was. You could have got Nick Saban to come out of retirement. If you got Saban to come out of retirement, maybe.
Well, I almost guarantee you they asked that question. Matter of fact, Ren Baker said he did ask the question. But
yeah. Guess y'all could have got Bill Belichick.
Yeah, we can't pay him $10 million a year though.
Pat McAfee can.
I don't think he's
Stephen A. Smith and his crybaby ass.
Yeah,
that's one dude that I would love to see get fired, man.
Did you see?
I'd love to be the fly on the wall when his ass got fired.
He threatened said he would like to thinks he could beat up Joe Rogan. You saw that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Joe Rogan would put him under the freaking ground, man.
I guess he thinks because Joe Rogan's not a real tall guy that means something. It don't mean shit.
Joe Rogan, wasn't he an actual fighter at one time?
Yeah, he was. He's into all that stuff, man. That's why he's announcing.
What's Stephen A? A talking head?
Yeah. Well, you ever seen those videos of Stephen A where he done one real cringy video of him out there boxing.
Yeah, I saw that.
You remember that?
Yeah, he is like a girl.
And he's just like,
yeah. And Joe Rogan shared that the other day on X.
yeah.
And he put the quote on top of it. He put the quote that Stephen A had about knocking him out.
What Stephen A may need to do is hide behind Shay Shay's dress, because Shannon Sharp would be his best bet to fight Joe Rogan.
Yeah, you got that right.
Because Shannon Sharp, he's a big old boy.
I'll be honest with you. I hardly ever watch ESPN anymore. Only time I watch it just about is when there's a game on that I want to watch. Outside of that, what's that?
I'm gonna bring this clip up real quick. Yeah. I don't normally watch them either unless someone's talking about them. You know what I'm saying?
Like
that to watch my team play. I get forced to do it.
And I normally don't watch them. I watch the clip somebody posts on Twitter or something. I don't even actually watch the ESPN clip half the time.
I don't know when I'm going to cut this off, but I'll try to cut off here and there just so I don't. You know, can y'all see that?
I can see it. Yeah.
A. Smith to others has been a pox. But Stephen A. Smith has really put his thing out there now that his jealousy of McAfee and lines have been drawn. Herb Street on the McAfee line. Shay, whatever they're, Shannon Sharp or Sterling Sharp, whichever Sharp it is, on this side. Let's see what happens. So, Shannon Sharp decided to take it to these hands. Yeah, damn. Took it a little bit too far. There'll be no discipline because the white guys at ESPN are scared to death. Now, if some of the white talent had done what Shannon Sharp had done, well, clearly he would be out tomorrow. Let's listen as we went through the entire deal. Here is that noted tough guy, Stephen A. Smith, trying to be tough, talking back to Herb Street, saying, well, I didn't stutter. Here's Stephen A. Smith.
Attention retirees, if you're willing to be at your computer from 9 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. on most weeks.
Stop it. Chris Fowler, it's ridiculous. No, it's not. Herb Street first take got to get him fired. That is not true. I did. Not first take. That was me, Stephen A. I'm going to own that. And what did I say specifically, Herb Street? Because you got to quote me accurately, my brother. I watch you on college football game day. I don't misquote you. Don't misquote me. What I said was, this man, Ryan Day, if he doesn't get a national championship, he should go. Even with a 66-10 record, I didn't stutter one bit. I ain't stuttering now.
Oh, that's a tough guy. Wow, I ain't stuttering now. Nobody's tougher behind the mic than Stephen A. Smith. They're in a history or in a long line of tough guys behind a mic or a keyboard. Nobody's tougher than Stephen A. Smith, and obviously Stephen A. Smith is going to stand by his stupidity.
We'll stop it right there real quick and just get your take on what Stephen A. Smith said, then I'll let you hear about Shannon Sharp.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the whole exchange there as far as what Herb Street said about Ohio State. Was it the comment he said about
he said, I guess, let's see if First Take wants to fire.
Yeah, where they were.
After
they were. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay. Thanks for the reminder there. But yeah, look, I hate to agree with Dan Jokic here because I can't stand the guy. He's a loudmouth that hates West Virginia, so I don't like him. But I do agree with him here. Stephen A's a loudmouth. He's a tough guy type. But to be honest, that's what he gets paid to do. Sometimes I think he might be playing a character, I don't know.
You wouldn't think anybody could be that stupid, right?
I'm hoping that's the case anyway. But I do agree with Dan here that Stephen A's kind of putting on a tough guy act here. So I totally agree with that. As bad as I hate to.
All right. I'm going to play some more of it.
Yep.
Well, nobody said you stutter. They just simply said that you are an idiot. That's what they said. They said exactly what you said. You said Ryan Day being out with a whatever record in 10. You said he should be fired. They called you an idiot. In typical Stephen A. Smith fashion, in typical ESPN, actually in typical media fashion, the bigger the mouth, the more sensitive the guy, excluding me. However, Stephen A. Smith wasn't alone. His moronic mumbled mouth partner, Shay Shay, a.k.a. Sex tape guy, a.k.a. we're questioning a lot of things about where he heads at night, Shannon Sharpe, had this to say.
Even though I'm going to let it slide. I'm going to be a good teammate. I'm going to let it slide. Everybody's at ESPN, because had you not taken the route you taken, I would have lit their ass up. But I'm going to let it slide. You know what, guys? Congratulations, Ohio State. You won the game. But, hey, if we're going to be on the same team, if we're going to work for the same network, don't do that. Kurt, Chris Fowler, I promise you, if you ever mention anything, any platform that I'm on again and talking about, I wonder what they're going to say in negativity, I promise you, ESPN ain't got enough bosses to keep me off y'all for what I'm going to say. So I'm going to let y'all slide today. I'm going to turn it over to D.O. before I get myself in trouble. But don't play with me. Go ahead, D.O.
Damn. I got to follow? Go ahead. Man.
So that becomes the modern tough guy. The modern tough guy is Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith, who feel like they can because, well, the guys in the fourth building number 4, about 7th floor, I don't even know how many floors there are scared to death of them. So they can say whatever they want and hide. They got called out because what they say every morning is so stupid, so ridiculous, so uninformed, that they actually, like George Costanza, it's not a lie if you believe it. It's not stupid if you believe it. Well, they're stupid. Actually, they're very smart, because there isn't a human being alive that can listen to Shannon Sharpe for 2 minutes and say, man, I want to keep listening to that mumbled mouth moron.
Outlaw, you would be perfect for the Outkick show, brother. Just so you know.
Yeah, I didn't know Dan had an issue with your team, West Virginia. But
there's a backstory there.
If I had known that, I probably wouldn't have chosen him. Because
no, that's okay. No, I actually agree with a lot of the things he says. I ain't gonna lie to you. I just don't like him. It's for biased reasons. So okay, I mean, I agree with some of the things he says. So no, he
has said some things I didn't agree with and didn't like. Some pretty sort of borderline sexist things, but
yeah, he goes a little too far for me sometimes. But that's
so,
you know,
so do I.
yeah,
but,
you do. You do.
I just wanted that last part to get in there, like Silas just said, man.
Yeah, mumble mouth, moron.
Yeah, that's a good one. He does sound like he's got rocks in his mouth sometimes. This is the same guy that couldn't figure out how to turn Instagram off before he started doing the nasty. So, I mean, he ain't that smart, man. He's just famous. And like Kuz alluded to, that's just the character they play, and they get paid that money. It's almost like a wrestling storyline in a way. You know, you get paid to be the bad guy. I'm sure Dominic Mysterio doesn't hate his daddy in real life, but it right. sells. It sells for him to be a jackass.
But to you know me, you know how I like to ride the fence, right? So I'm gonna also look at it from their point of view, and I felt like what Kirk Herbstreit did was also kind of a cheap shot.
You really don't ride the fence that much. I was just messing with you the other night.
No, you're not the only one who's told me that, brother. So I said that.
I know they said that to you before, and I knew it would aggravate you. So,
I'm just I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, but I have the ability to look at stories and angles from both sides of the argument sometimes. And sometimes I get people accuse me and, people want me to pick sides, and sometimes I can't because I actually literally understand both sides. But anyway, and I usually end up making more people mad because I won't take either side. But my point of saying that was, well, I don't think what Kirk Herbstreit said was, I thought he should not have said what he said either, to be honest with you.
Kirk?
Yeah, about throwing a show that's on his network under the bus like that.
Yeah, well,
they have a right. They have a right to say what they want to about Ryan Day.
Yeah, you know why Kirk said that, because Kirk's an Ohio State guy.
Exactly. He's letting his bias. I thought he let his bias come out by saying
although,
Kirk's gotten ballsy the last couple of years, man. He's almost gotten to the point where I think he feels like he can say whatever he wants to a degree.
Well, now that the worms turned conservatively, I think a lot of people are sort of getting a little moxie about him. You know what I mean?
they're all like that. I mean, obviously, look at Stephen A. and Shannon are apparently doing the same. They're all doing that. And you know who I think is, I don't want to use the word to blame because maybe it's a good thing. I think you got to thank Pat McAfee for that.
Yeah, because he come over and he's like, "Hey,
now everybody's trying to be like him."
Pat's like, "I'll come over there, but y'all gonna let me do what I want to do."
Yeah, and now everybody's trying to do the same thing, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, I heard they almost got in a little trouble the other night for making some kind of sexual reference about buck nuts.
Who Pat did?
Pat McAfee show, one of his little cronies that he has on there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know their names. I only know Pat's name.
One's Connor. I can't remember the other guy's name.
One of the guys that's on his show that helps him out a lot. I can't remember his name. He basically made an alluding comment about buck nuts and shooting a load up in Tennessee. That they ass rape Tennessee or something like that.
Oh gosh. And they were on the because see, part of their, not all their show is on ESPN. It's only like half of it or something, isn't it? Or 2 hours of it, maybe. I don't know.
I saw a video today by Matt Be Great. He's talking about Ohio State maybe exposing the SEC by whooping Tennessee like that. And I don't know if I agree with that too much, but I think Tennessee got set up. And I mean, they got put in a seeded match they shouldn't have been in. Ohio State didn't have no business being 8th. They're not the 8th best team in the nation. They're a lot better than that.
I don't know that I'd call it, obviously I didn't like what Feinbaum and them said about the whole situation, but I don't think it exposed anybody. I just think Ohio State's really good, honestly. And Tennessee just happened to run into a buzzsaw that night. Ohio State played a heck of a game. Tennessee didn't play very well. It was, the first round of the playoffs, we now have away games, right? We now have home stadium games at home stadiums, and I think that played a role in it. It just so happened Ohio State was the better team, point blank. They would have beaten anybody from any conference that night, more than likely, whether it was SEC, they might have beaten Alabama like a drum. I don't know. Maybe they would have beaten Ole Miss like a drum, South Carolina, whoever.
I'm not real confident in Georgia right now, like some people, because I think Carson Beck not being at game is going to affect them more than they realize. The guy that came in for them, they ended up beating Texas, but it was by the skin of their teeth. In a full game as a starter, man, I don't know, man. I mean, they might be able to get by Notre Dame, but I don't think Georgia's the same team without Carson Beck.
Yeah, Notre Dame's good though, man. Notre Dame is better than I gave them credit for. I thought they were overrated because of that loss to Northern Illinois, but I think that was a fluke, man. And I think that game may have actually helped them in the long run, because I think they went into that game taking it for granted, and I think they realized after that game that they can't do that. Matter of fact, I heard Marcus Freeman say that himself, that he actually thought it ended up helping them, because now the team went into every game with the mindset, they couldn't let down.
Well, I wish he'd been our coach then, because we lost to Vanderbilt and we still went and lost a bunch of games we weren't supposed to.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Alabama was still a good team, but I had a feeling that they were going to take a little bit of a step back this year. I mean, and I know you're more of a realistic fan. At least I think you are, and than many others. But if any fan out there expected them to continue at the same rate they were winning with Nick Saban, I think that was a little unrealistic.
There's going to be a drop off.
And I'll be honest with you, and you can answer me this, Outlaw. You would know more about this than me. I've heard some rumblings and saw some stuff on social media that Alabama's NIL is not all that great, and it might hurt them down, and it might be one of the reasons Saban retired.
Well,
you think that's accurate?
That Nick Saban, him and Jimbo Fisher got into it because he made a comment about Texas A&M being able to pay their players.
Right.
Well, he wasn't really taking a shot at Jimbo. He was telling our guys at the function, the booster,
right.
This was like a booster luncheon, that, hey, y'all going to have to,
right.
They're going to have to bring more money because Texas A&M is bringing the money. And that's all he said, and Jimbo took it as him taking a shot at him. And he said he wanted to slap Saban in the mouth. But see where Jimbo's at now.
Yeah, he didn't even get the West Virginia job.
Yeah.
But he did interview for, by the way.
Our AD, Greg Byrne, come out right before Christmas. I don't know if you saw the video I done on that. And basically was saying, hey, y'all need to stand up and fight. Talking to us, the fan base and the boosters. and give more money to the NIL. And I'm like, man, that's a bad look. You coming in here, goading us for money and shaming us like we're not fighting hard enough for our team. I mean, we buy tickets. We're setting upper deck in the middle of July. Oh, not July, my bad. In the middle of late August, early September, and it's temperature's like 110 degrees.
Yeah.
Buy the expensive tickets, buy the crappy food, buy the apparel that's overpriced, the $70, $80 hoodies. And now you want more money from us, and you're asking for it right before Christmas. I mean, we might need that money to maybe buy a Christmas dinner or buy a few fireworks for our kids. Yeah, I just thought it was a bad look by Greg Byrne to be goading us for money. I mean, maybe he didn't mean it as the entire fan base. Maybe he was just directing it at the rich boosters. But he didn't say that. He said Alabama fans need to stand up and fight. We're Alabama. You need to give more money.
Yeah, I can see where that would rub people the wrong way. I think if West Virginia's AD done that, it would probably rub them the wrong way too. He doesn't do that. He finds other ways to get money or to encourage fans to give. They'll come out with promotions or whatever, he'll do an ad or a promotion for the NIL collective or something. I mean, but and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember him ever coming out and asking for more money to the fan base directly.
The way he done it, the way he hounded Alabama fans was just, it wasn't a good look.
Yeah.
And regardless of what athletic director does that, to me, he's not a good look.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of obvious. We all know it in today's age. We all know it's an issue. And Alabama, like West Virginia, are poor states. And you've got people that are likely middle income, people that might be living paycheck to paycheck, that are spending what little bit of extra money they have on buying tickets to games, $9 beer, $5 hot dogs. I mean, whatever, that have no chili on them. You know what I mean? I mean, just $5 bottle of water. I mean, you name it, right? We have to buy it, right? And so yeah, it's oh, and then by the way, now you got to pay the players too. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
It's
I thought the players were supposed to be paid, like a guy earlier said, by the sponsors and the guys they're getting commercials for.
Well, that used to be the case, but it's not the case anymore. And
Big Stat Kelly says LSU and Brian Kelly put their money where their mouth is. Well, I don't know. I don't really know where that's got to do with my situation or anybody else's situation. Y'all might put your money where your mouth is, but eventually everybody is going to run out of money. You can't.
Dana Holgorsen did that at Houston too and got fired a year later. So hopefully Brian Kelly don't get fired after giving him $1 million.
Well, it's just untenable, man. Even the rich teams like Texas and Texas A&M and teams with oil money, you can't just keep spending this much money on kids coming out of high school that are going to take off after a year. You're asking us to give money to these kids that are going to leave in a year and take your money and leave with them because they don't have a contract.
Let me give you a perfect example. West Virginia had, I don't know if Alabama's like this, but at West Virginia, we really, really, really hold dear to our hearts the players that play for West Virginia who are from the state of West Virginia. Those players they get a lot. They're a lot more popular and a lot more liked typically than the players that are not from West Virginia, right? Because we feel like they're one of us. Is it like that at Alabama?
As far as in-state players?
Yeah.
It used to be that way.
Okay.
I think the problem with Alabama is we've gotten away from recruiting players here in our state.
But anyway, one of our good best in-state players, Hudson Clement, who was our number one wide receiver, entered the transfer portal after the bowl game, and it really, really, us fans were heartbroken by it because he was a West Virginia kid, and how can you leave the team that's got your state's name on the front of the jersey, right? We kind of feel like he's abandoning us a little bit, even though I know deep down a lot of kids will do the same thing, but somebody a West Virginia fan posted on social media, you can buy jerseys now with players' names on them. Somebody had bought this person a Christmas present with a West Virginia jersey with Hudson Clement's name on it for Christmas. And now he's not even with the team anymore.
But you want us to give money to these guys and they may not be here next year.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I don't know if you've priced a jersey lately, but they're like $130 or something.
Yeah.
They're not cheap.
Big Stat Kelly says something that's sort of true. It's the times we live in, unfortunately. But to me, that if you roll over for that attitude, man, then they're just going to keep doing it, man. You got to fight back eventually, and just say, hey, we're not paying these guys this much, and have some kind of salary cap or something. Especially for the high school seniors that come in here and haven't proven shit. They ain't even gained a yard, and you're going to pay them thousands of dollars.
Well, you know, this revenue sharing may help with that to an extent. Each school is only going to be able to pay up to a certain amount of money to each player. It's not considered NIL; it's considered revenue sharing. So each football player, even athletes in other sports too, are now going to get paid X amount of dollars just for being an athlete now.
If y'all don't mind, jump out and smash the like button, and it'll help push the algorithm a little bit. Also, if you want to make a comment and get it answered above everybody else's, there's a little $1 million sign at the bottom. Click on it. Make sure you write your comment out first and then hit send. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the college football playoff picture and see what you think about it.
Yep.
Get your predictions on it if you got time. If you don't, we can.
Yeah, I'm cool. I got about 10, 15 minutes.
I don't want to keep you too long.
I just got to be off here, but my wife's got to go to bed shortly. She gets up for work early in the morning.
Yeah, I run into that issue sometimes too. My sugar mama comes in here, I got to go.
We know who the boss is.
Yeah, don't tell nobody. Ruin my image.
I hear you.
As you can see here, Georgia, Notre Dame. Who do you think is going to win that game?
Tell you what, under normal circumstances, I would say Georgia, but with Beck being out, who's their backup quarterback again? Remind me. I'm
trying to remember his name. Big Cojones Kelly probably knows. I think his name's Hunter something.
Is he a freshman?
I don't know if he's a freshman or a redshirt freshman or a sophomore.
But he hasn't played much, has he?
He hasn't really played that much, no. But he won that game against Texas, but it wasn't very, very convincing. Of course, it is Texas, and Texas teams.
Texas is good though. Texas has got one of the best. I'm still going to go with Georgia.
Yeah, I feel like
think Georgia's. It's going to be. I think it'll be a close game though. I do think Notre Dame will play them close.
I think Georgia will probably get by Notre Dame. It's in the Sugar Bowl, which is pretty historical and nostalgic because Georgia won their first national title in the Sugar Bowl against Notre Dame in 1980. So that's a little historical nugget for all y'all out there. Boise State versus Penn State in the Fiesta Bowl. That's the scene of the crime for a lot of Boise State upsets, right? Didn't they beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl?
Yeah, it is. So did West Virginia at one time before they reeled off about 10 in a row on us there in the Big 12. Right. But yeah, so I don't have a whole lot of bragging rights.
An upset brewing here in the Fiesta Bowl again for?
I don't think so. Penn State's defense is Ashton Jeanty will get his yards, but I'm not sure they'll do much else. I'll look for Penn State to win it.
Now they did play Oregon close earlier this year. It's 37-34.
Yeah, they did. That's a good point. I mean, I think Boise State can win it. I just don't think they will. I think Penn State's defense is too good. And I don't think I think they'll limit Ashton Jeanty probably. He's not going to get 200 yards on them like he does a lot of these other teams. And they won't be able to throw the ball well. So I'm going with Penn State. Penn State has the best pass rusher in the country, and Abdul Carter. So I'm going with Penn State.
You know, Notre Dame had an injury too the other day. One of their major defensive players. I can't remember his name. But.
Yeah, that is. I had forgot about that. That's a good point. That's another advantage to not getting that bye, man. You get your guys hurt in that first game, and then they can't play the rest of the way.
Yeah. It's just like playing them conference championship games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at least they ain't got to play Penn State in State College.
Yep. That would be tough. Holy cow!
Boise's in cold weather too, so
they get that. I think they would probably be able to handle it.
I'm gonna take an upset. I think I'm gonna take Boise State in this one.
Really? Just for fun, or do you really think they'll win it?
I don't know, man. I don't have a good feeling about Penn State like some people do.
I don't think Penn State's national championship caliber good, but I do think they're better than Boise State. But I might be wrong. They might prove me wrong. And I hope they do, to be honest. I'd like to see Boise State win it. I know their fans are not happy with me right now because a couple weeks ago I was complaining that they shouldn't have a higher seed than the Big 12 champion.
They should.
But that doesn't mean I don't have respect for them, and it doesn't mean I don't want them to win this game.
You're probably right. Penn State probably will win this game, but I will definitely be rooting for Boise State to win it.
I just think from top to bottom, 22 men on the field, Penn State's going to have a lot more talent.
So, and plus, if Georgia's to play Boise State, they might have an easier time. I don't know.
Now, I will say this: Boise State's going to have the best player on the field, in Jash and Genty, but I don't think they're going to have the best.
And the guy that got robbed for the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, Big Stat Kelly's comments got me laughing.
What did he say about UGA and Penis State?
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, Lord have mercy. That's funny. But
something
yeah,
on your mind tonight? You got something on your mind there, Big Stack? You talking about gay and penis together, man.
He changed his name on us, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He's like the 007 of the damn internet or something. He's always changing his name, man. He's under covert operations from LSU. This game right here is the one that's got a lot of people hurt. The Oregon and Ohio State are playing so early. This is a game that probably shouldn't have been played until the semifinals, to be honest with you. Who do you think is going to win that one?
Yeah, that definitely should not be a game in the quarterfinals. The seeding. There's one thing I'll say: the seeding for the playoff needs to be changed. They need to be reseeded after the first round, in my opinion. But anyway, gosh, man, I don't know.
It's a hard call.
Oregon won the first. Well, no, they didn't play in the regular. Did they? Yeah, they did play. Oregon won it, right?
That's right, by 1 point. But it was in Autzen Stadium, and they barely won that game.
And where's this game at?
It's in the Rose Bowl.
The Rose Bowl. Okay.
That's old school. These are two. This is like the old Pac-12 versus the Big Ten.
Man, I don't know, man. I think I got to go Ohio State here. I don't want to.
They look scary against Tennessee.
I don't want to. I don't like Ohio State. They're a bunch of useless nuts. But I mean, after the way they looked against Tennessee, Will Howard if Will Howard can play that well against Oregon, as good as their defense is, Oregon's going to struggle. I mean, I don't want to say struggle, but I think Ohio State, if both teams are playing their A game, I think Ohio State's a slightly better football team, so I'm going to Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, and plus that game was on the road in Autzen, and they barely won by 1 point.
Correct. Yeah. I still think Ohio State, top to bottom, has a better roster.
I just don't know how they lost to Michigan, man. I still can't get over that.
I don't know what Michigan is. It's like an enigma. It's like back in the day when Peyton Manning couldn't beat Tom Brady. For whatever reason, Ryan Day cannot beat Michigan, man. I don't know what it is. Now it's probably going to cost him his job if he don't do it next year. But and it might even cost him his job this year if they lose that in the playoffs. But
what if he wins the national championship and he loses to Michigan next year? Do you fire somebody who just won a national title 2 short years ago?
In that game, probably so. That's how dumb college football is, brother.
It is, man. It's bad. That's one thing to say about the NFL. They don't just fire you for losing to your rivals.
Nah, I don't know. If he wins a national title, I'm not sure they would. The fans would probably want him to, but I'm not sure the administration would do it. I don't think it. And his buyout is massive, from my understanding. So I'm not sure.
Thunder OU Center agrees with us. Ohio State looks like they're on a mission to beat every single team in the playoff to prove something.
Yep.
They kind of
look. They kind of look like that against Tennessee, because Tennessee's not a bad football team, and they just flat out boat raced them. Made Nico look average.
Yep. Guys, I'm a Michigan fan, and I'm okay with saying the Buckeyes look scary good. Yeah, but what happened to scary good when they play Michigan? I don't understand it, man. It's like this was the year that you can't lose to Michigan. There's no way.
Yeah.
And yet you did.
Michigan's not even that good.
Not this year, they're not. You're right. And now, next year Michigan might be a lot better, because I heard they got a lot of good players in the transfer portal and stuff like that. So They might have missed their opportunity to beat Michigan when they could.
Yep.
So the last game is Texas versus Arizona State.
Yeah, I broke that one down today. I've looked at the numbers closely. I've watched a little bit of each team play. More Arizona State because we're being a Big 12 guy. I watch a lot of Big 12 games, but man, Texas's defense is freaking elite, man. The only hope for Arizona State, in my opinion, I hate to say this because, like I said, I'm a Big 12 guy, but if they can run the ball with Cam Scatterboo and have some success, because Cam Scatterboo's an elite running back. If they can run the ball halfway decent with him and win the time of possession, and they need to steal a couple turnovers. If they can do that, they can win the game. But it's going to be hard to do it, man. I just don't see it. I think Texas wins by about a touchdown in this one. I do think Arizona State will come out ready to play and trying to prove something. And I think they'll play Texas closer than people think. But I don't think they're good enough to beat them.
It's a long trek for Arizona State. They got to go all the way to Atlanta.
Yeah.
To play that game. Man, Atlanta's making out like thieves, ain't they? They got a playoff game, and they had the SEC title game. They got a playoff game, and they got the national title game.
Do they? Wow. I didn't even realize the national title game was in Atlanta. That's crazy.
I believe it is. Is it in Atlanta this year? I thought it was.
It may be. I haven't looked that far ahead, to be honest.
That big Stat Kelly can tell us. He's our statistician in here.
But yeah, I think so. I think it'll be Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, Texas.
Ohio State. So it'd be Ohio State versus Texas, and Georgia versus Penn State. That's also an old nostalgic matchup.
Yeah, it is.
Penn State beat Georgia for a national title, I think.
Now, if it comes down to that, you can't tell me that wouldn't be a fun Final Four.
Oh yeah, you got name brands out there.
You got 4 blue blood programs right there, man.
You got 3 at least. I don't know if I count Texas.
Yeah, I don't like counting them either, but especially with all these OU fans on here. But I'll give them their
due. I
due
really
there.
don't know if I count Texas or Penn State. Penn State ain't won a title since the late 80s, 90s, early 90s.
Yeah, Texas would be more of a blue blood than Penn State if you want to go by titles.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Texas has at least won one in this century.
You're right about that. So you think Ohio State can beat Texas? I think they could beat Texas.
We'll say historic programs. How about that? We won't say blue bloods. I think Ohio State probably is better than Texas. I'm not sure Texas's offense is good enough to outscore Ohio State. And so I'm picking a national championship of Ohio State and Georgia.
I think Ohio State will beat Georgia.
I do too.
They got a little axe to grind with them. Remember that year they were wide receiver got injured and Georgia come back and beat them.
And I normally would never root for Ohio State ever. But no offense, brother, but I don't want the SEC to win another title.
That's why I said, man, I don't normally root for Georgia or Texas, but I hope they both get there just to piss everybody off.
I mean, I normally in the past have not had any hard feelings toward the SEC until the last few weeks. And it's mainly just towards Greg Sankey and towards the media who prop up the SEC, in my opinion. It's not really – I don't really have any ill will towards the SEC teams or coaches or fans. It's just it's one of those you know how you root for the underdog, right? And I feel like right now everybody that's not SEC is the underdog.
You know what would be messed up is if Georgia and Texas play again, and it's be the third time. Yeah. Texas wins. Texas gets the national championship, and Georgia's 2-1 against them in the same year. Yeah. Yet Georgia don't have the national title.
Wow,
messed up.
Yeah, I don't know though, man. The more I think about it, it would be hard for me to root against. It would be hard for me to cheer for Ohio State to win national championship. Yeah, I freaking hate Ohio State.
Look, man, I heard their fans were horrible.
I heard the same. And look, and keep in mind we're comparing them to Tennessee fans now.
Exactly. Tennessee's got the worst fans of all time that I've experienced. And I had Tennessee fans getting on the board saying, that was the worst experience ever. Them are the worst fans ever. And I'm like, really? Now
how much of that, just to play devil's advocate, though, how much of that do you think it's just Tennessee fans not being accustomed to being treated the way they treat other people?
Exactly. That's what I was saying. I'm like, y'all really going to go there?
Yeah.
Really?
Now, I did see in all honesty, I saw those comments too, and then I also saw a couple Tennessee fans say they had the opposite experience. So every fan base has got their jackasses in it, man. You just
that'd be like P. Diddy calling Epstein a pervert, you know?
Yeah. I just feel like Ohio State they don't think their poop stinks, man. And I just have a hard time cheering for them in anything, to be honest.
Oklahoma and Michigan play next year, someone said. What's up, Straight Shooter? I ain't seen you in here in a while, brother. What you been up to, Straight Shooter? Jack Acker says, I've got Oregon getting over the natty hump this year. Yeah, Oregon's been close a few times,
wow.
Man. They've been there. So close, man. Mm-hmm. They've been close a few times, Oregon has.
You know what, though? You know what?
They'd have to go 17-0.
I'm gonna if Arizona State can't win it and represent the Big 12, then I'm gonna cheer for Oregon.
Well, yeah, they've been there. It's sort of like the Buffalo Bills, right?
Yeah, because I like Dan Lanning, man. I love that guy as a coach. And Oregon's AD is actually a West Virginia guy. If y'all don't know how many people know that.
I was trying to get you with that Buffalo Bills comment.
I ignored it. It's I'm a glutton for punishment, man. I root for West Virginia and the Buffalo Bills. It's
back in the day, they went to 4 straight Super Bowls, right?
And lost them all. And all three of the four were blowouts, man.
I used to love Jim Kelly, man. I actually rooted for Buffalo in all those games, but I used to love red helmets. The all red helmets are all.
That's what made me start cheering for them, to be honest with you. I was a kid. I was an 11-year-old kid, and I was watching them on TV, and I was like, man, those helmets are freaking cool. And then they happened to be good, and that was also the year they made it to their first Super Bowl. So I was from then on, man. I've just been a fan, and but yeah, and now they're good again, and now they can't get past Kansas City in the freaking playoffs.
Kansas City going for a three-peat. I don't think there's ever been a three-peat since the Super Bowl era. This will be the first three-peat ever.
I was thinking. I know Dallas won 2 in a row.
Yep.
New England's won 2 in a row, but nobody's done 3, and I think you're right.
Yep. This will be historical. I used to not like Kansas City until I found out Patrick Mahomes' wife pissed Taylor Swift off because she supports Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Had a little bit of infighting on that team there. Sort of like the ESPN Civil War in a way.
Yeah, I just don't like Kansas City because they beat my Bills every year, so I can't cheer for them. And they're the luckiest freaking team on the planet, man.
Who's that? Kansas City?
Kansas City. They get more calls go their way. They get more bounces.
Well, that one year against the Patriots, man, they won the coin toss and they won the game. That's not the thing I don't like about the NFL is their overtime process. I don't really like it.
Yeah, they've tweaked it a little bit since, but yeah, you're right.
Big Stack Kelly says, yes, the college football national championship game is in Atlanta. Atlanta's going to have some money this year. By the way, I was watching Clay Travis off the subject, and he was giving people some advice on stocks and bonds. And the first thing he said was S&P 500 was a good one to put, your money in. And then the other one was Atlanta Braves stock.
Really?
Now, I thought that was crazy, but then he laid it out. The Major League Baseball's dropped the ball as far as locations of franchises because they don't have but a few in the Southeast. See, Atlanta, they got fans in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, and North Carolina. There's no Major League Baseball teams in any of those other states.
Interesting.
So they cover a 6-team area. So their stocks and stuff are really in good shape.
I didn't even know you could buy stock in the Atlanta Braves, to be honest.
I didn't either. I'm going to start looking into it, though.
And they're my team anyway. I may have to buy me some stock.
See, that's another thing. See, West Virginia, one of those teams that don't have a professional team, and it's not that far from Atlanta. I mean, it's not close, but and then up until 20 or 30 years ago, there wasn't no teams in Florida. So you'll go down to Florida, and there'll be a lot of Braves fans down in Florida.
Well, they do their spring training in Florida too.
Yeah, exactly. So the Braves they got money.
That's interesting. I appreciate you sharing that with me. That's a pretty cool nugget of information there.
Oh yeah, and it was still tied to sports a little bit, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, brother, I got to jump off of here. The wife's getting into bed. She has to get up early tomorrow, a lot earlier than me. So I better roll.
All right, brother. Take care.
Appreciate you having me on. It was fun.
Give your tell us where we can find you.
I'm on Kuz's Corner on YouTube. It's I cover West Virginia. I cover the Big 12. I cover. I'll probably start doing more conference realignment stuff here in the off season. And then I'm on X at Kuz206. And if you ever get a wild hair and want to find out about West Virginia basketball, I have another channel called Hoops from the Hills that I do some stuff on occasionally. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And he's a big fan of Rhea Ripley.
I do like myself some Rhea Ripley. I haven't been watching wrestling as much lately, but I do. I am a fan of Rhea Ripley, especially when if she's wearing one of those really nice skimpy outfits.
He's looking back to where his wife's at.
She don't care anyway. She honestly don't care because she likes.
I know.
There's a lot of men she likes too. So
she's probably checking Roman Reigns out.
No, she don't like him. She likes John Cena and Randy Orton.
Uh-oh. Randy Orton I can understand. John Cena not so much.
They're more her types.
All right, brother. Take care. Appreciate
See
you
you,
being
man.
on.
Be good.
All right, later.
Later.
And that was Kuz from Kuz's Corner. Saunter on over and get you a nice shot of top shelf college football knowledge. Acknowledge him. As 1989 M likes to say, acknowledge him. Now, got a little segment here. Ask the Outlaw of college football anything. It ain't got to be about sports. It can be anything. I'm not going to say I'm going to answer it, but I'll try to answer it. And if I don't want to answer it, I just won't answer it. But y'all got any questions for me? Something that y'all want to ask me? It could be about the S&P 500 investment that I just talked about, and the Atlanta Braves stock that I just talked about that Clay Travis put me on to, because the Atlanta Braves have 6 states in their fan base. Now, the Dolphins didn't three-peat, Jack Ecker. The Dolphins, they were the undefeated team. They're the only team to ever go undefeated. Hold on for a second. Let me see what this message is about here. Okay, got the phone back on. Y'all hear my phone ring here in a minute. I got the A-Team ringtone. If you know who the A-Team is from back in the 1980s. I'm going to go ahead and give a 4 horseman shout out today, too. We got Heath Stokes, Killback First, Nate, and Sooner, JH Travels, John, in parentheses, are our 4 horsemen today that have helped us with this show and helped us with the college football invasion. Fred Bagley in late again. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna start having to keep roll call. I'm gonna make Big Stack Kelly. I'm gonna make him a moderator, and he's gonna start keeping roll call, man. When y'all come in here late, man, I'm not gonna tell you what's gonna happen, man. But just don't come in here tardy more than 5 minutes, Fred. Not ever again. Rebecca says, nice to see y'all kissed and made up. Yeah, me and Kuz are we're of the bald-headed structure here, the no-hair guys on sports podcasting. So got to keep the bald guys, being friends and whatnot. Plus, I was being a jerk and an asshole in the way. So that was more my fault than it was Kuz's. So, yeah, I went ahead and apologized, because when you're wrong, you apologize, right? Jack Ecker says, when's the next live stream? Well, Jack, it's always a grab bag with me. I never know when I'm going to get on here. It's always the day of. But if you got a certain day or time that you would like for me to maybe set up a podcast, or not a podcast, but a live stream, let me know, and I'll see what I can do, brother. Maybe you want to be on the show. Would you like to be on the show, Jack Ecker? Give us a little insight to Oregon's struggles. I've done a video, Jack. I don't know if you checked it out or not. 2 videos back. It's specifically about Oregon, And I've done that for you guys because y'all always in here. You and a few other right-wing Duck fan, yourself. I done an Oregon video just laying out why Oregon should get more respect. So if you don't mind, go back and watch that video. I don't know if you have yet or not, but it's a good video explaining why Oregon, where they began, and how I think Chip Kelly and Mike Bellotti got too much credit for building Oregon up. I think Rich Brooks is the guy that Oregon people need to thank for Oregon being where they're at today. Because back in the day when I was growing up, Oregon was going 2-9 and 3-8 in the 1980s, and there wasn't but 15 bowls back in. So making a bowl game back in meant something. Now there's like 40 bowls. But Rich Brooks started taking Oregon to bowl games. That may not sound like a lot to Alabama fans and Oklahoma fans and teams that win national championships a lot, like Ohio State. But to get Oregon in a bowl at that time was a major accomplishment. Rich Brooks done that. And since then, Oregon has been on a inclining trajectory, and they've been ever so close a couple of times to getting to that national championship table. And this might be Oregon's year, and if they do it, it's going to be hella historical because that would put them at either 16-0 or 17-0. They played in their conference title game, so I'm thinking it's going to be 17-0. That'll probably be a modern-day record for wins in a season without a loss if Oregon were to do that, plus it'd be their first national championship. Any questions? Ask me anything. You can ask me who I took to prom. It don't matter. You can ask me anything. Anything. Mercury Morris always celebrate when a team doesn't go undefeated. Can ASU knock off Texas as straight shooter? I don't think they can. I hope they don't in a way. I usually don't root for Texas, but because there's been so much SEC hate, even from my boy Kuz, I think I might have to root for Texas in this one. Eric Taco Murillo's in the house. He's got his badge. He's deputized. I'm here. I texted, but I guess you didn't hear it. No, I had my phone on silent. I just turned it back on because my wife's about to call me here in a second. Go pick her up from work. You hear my little A-team ringtone go off in a minute. But if you want your badge, you want to be deputized, you want to get a random four horseman shout like those guys did just a few moments back, you can get deputized and get your badge for $2.99 a month, 75 cents a week. It's just a little join button over by the subscribe button. Like I said, you get your badge, you get deputized, you get a random four horseman shout out, as well as possibly be the comment of the day, and that's just a half a bottle of water for the Outlaw. Almost got into the cognac tonight. Got a little new thing I'm doing. I'm starting with some cognac and some eggnog. Thunder OU Center says, how was your Christmas? It was pretty good. I went and visited my daughter and her husband in McCalla, Alabama, up there by Lakeview. It's actually in Lakeview, not McCalla. And my grandson, he's 2 years old now. And now, instead of just the Outlaw College Football, I'm the Outlaw Pawpaw. How do you like me now? To quote the great and deceased Toby Keith. Sure wish Toby was still here. Man, I love me some Toby Keith. Do you forgive me? Man, Daniel, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be forgiving you for, man. I get into it with people on here all the time. Man, I forget that shit like the next day. I'm like that old dog that's your best friend until you kick him while he's trying to eat. And but the next day, dog done forgot he's your best friend again. I'm like that old dog. Donald Poolaw wants to know, are ghosts real? Are ghosts real? I've never seen one. So my judgment upon ghosts, I've seen some stuff that was sort of sketchy and made me think, what the hell is that? Now, I did see something one time. Y'all don't think I'm crazy for telling you this, but I saw like a green orb. I was going up Highway 43 in Northport, Alabama. I looked over in the trees and I saw this green ball floating. It was like glowing. And I promise you, I wasn't smoking weed and I wasn't drunk. Hadn't been doing shrooms, any of that stuff. I don't partake in drugs, by the way, at all. Can't stand weed. Don't like to smoke. I ain't touching mushrooms. I ain't touching anything that's been growing out there and been fermented by the kind of stuff that mushrooms fermented with. But I'm just a tequila guy mostly. But I did see a green orb one time, and I don't tell a lot of people about that, but I just told everybody, right? I don't know if that was an alien or one of them damn drones that's flying around in New Jersey. I don't know. You tell me. Y'all ever seen a green orb before? Orb, O-R-B. Me being drunk as hell. I didn't notice, man. Hey, I have drunk people on here all the time, man. This is a drinking zone. You can drink up in here. You can drink and talk in here. Not can drink and drive, but you could definitely drink and talk, or at least try to. I really didn't notice you being too much drunk. I mean, you did slur your words just a little bit. You sort of had that Kamala Harris thing going on because she likes to show up drunk to some of her shit. Any more Ask Outlaw of College Football anything questions? Jack Acker says, yeah, I'd be up for that JPC. I work graveyard, though, so my wake-up hours are kind of wonky. Well, I'll tell you what, brother, hit me up on Twitter, a.k.a. X. Hit me up on X at OCF Productions in DMs. Give me a time that you want to set it up, and we'll work around your schedule because y'all are the common Joes and the common sellers in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads, especially Shay Shay on Instagram gay. Shay Shay, man. I can't believe old Shay Shay tried to call out Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler just because they disagreed with him, just because they criticized him. Oh, but it's okay for Shay Shay and them to criticize other people. But when you criticize them, it's about to be lit up in here. You know what I'm saying? Is you feel me? There won't be no amount of bosses that can get me off of yous. Yeah, we feel you all right, brother. Why don't you learn to speak better in English? Like your boy Stephen A. Smith. You don't see him speaking all ebonically and crazy and shit. But anyway, let's see what we got here. Fred Bagley with his badge, he's deputized. Outlaw, I saw where OU got another quarterback for Christmas. Yeah. Y'all got the guy from Western Carolina, right? He's probably just coming over there to finish out his career because I don't see him starting in front of John Mateer, who just come from Washington State. Jack Acker says, speaking of which, got to get ready for work. Chat with you guys later. Smash that like button and root for whatever teams are playing against CU on Tebow and Tebow. That's right. And here we do not like con time Deion Sanders. Him and his little bullshit shades that he likes to wear at his conferences. Him and his fake Heisman winner, Travis Hunter. We all know Ashton Genty should have won that Heisman trophy. But it was a good story. So the Heisman, once again, is proving that it's crap. They don't never give the award to any defensive players unless they play both ways. Travis Hunter don't count. Back in the day, Charles Woodson don't count because they played both ways. I'm talking about a strictly defensive player. Needs to win the Heisman at least one time. Sooner D says, I'm wearing my Bigfoot. Sooner D. Yeah. Sooner D says, I'm wearing my Bigfoot hide and seek Chapone shirt. What do you think of the Bigfoot phenomenon? I think Bigfoot exists, but I think Bigfoot is an alien. I think Bigfoot time travels, or there's some kind of little portal, maybe in the bottom of the oceans where we can't get to, like the Marianas Trench. I think it's in the Pacific Ocean, right? I think there's something down there. I don't think it's something from out there. I think there's something down there in the oceans, man. I know it sounds crazy, but you never see any bones for Bigfoot. You see bones for dinosaurs all the time. You would think if Bigfoot existed and lived on Earth all the time, that you would find some bones or some remnants. And that's why a lot of people don't believe in Bigfoot. I think Bigfoot is smarter than people think he is. People think Bigfoot's dumb because he's got all this hair and he looks like a big-ass baboon or something. That Bigfoot's a dumbass. Bigfoot's not dumb. Bigfoot's an alien, and I think he's got little portals that he travels through, or either he gets in those little drones or whatever and flies down to the bottom of the Marianas Trench, and they got more technology that we'll probably never see in our lifetime. How about that? Hunter should not have won the Heisman, says Fred Bagley. I agree. Nah, Bigfoot is Chewbacca, the weird time travel stuff. Old school Star Wars comics. He does look a lot like Chewbacca, right? Thunder OU Center agrees with me. Bigfoot is linked to flying saucers. All right, boys and girls out there in college football and college common folk land, I might change the name of this channel back to the Common Folk. What do y'all think? Because in the off season, we're probably going to talk more than just college football. We're going to talk a little bit about everything. That's why I got to Ask Outlaw of College Football anything. Maybe it needs to be Ask Outlaw of Common Folk everything. What do y'all think? Should I change it back to Common Folk? What do y'all think? With that, I'm going to get out of here. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Especially when I leave off of here, they'll go to podcast. You can share it with your friends out there. Let's get this party crunk, get more people up in here. And maybe we'll be nationwide one day. We'll have our own network show. KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.